Markets are very bullish right now. There's nothing wrong with the markets, no reason to not be invested. Just be aware that risk is building for a correction in the market at some point. And here's what you need to know before the bell this morning. Very strong advance over the last 21 weeks, 5 months in a row on the positive upside. Again, very, very long in that stretch. The one thing we keep paying attention to is this indicator right here, which is this moving average convergence divergence line, which has just been stuck at a very high level. This is a little bit unusual that markets are this complacent for so long. In other words, we talk about markets can remain overbought for longer, and this has been one of those periods where the market has just remained overbought for a very long period of time. Now that will end at some point. The question is what ends it and when does it end? But again, for right now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the market. Importantly, as we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and this has not changed at all, is this very narrow defined trend channel that the market remains in. We trade from the bottom of the trend channel, which is the 20-day moving average, to the top of the channel, then right back down again. This morning, futures are pointing a little bit lower, and that's going to come right after we touch the top of this trend channel last week. So again, it's been a very easy trading market. You just basically buy stuff and it goes up. And we're starting to see the markets broaden out a bit, which is encouraging. But again, this is that complacency that continues to tick into the markets really kind of across the board. And we see this in multiple areas, but as is usually the case, we can take a look at the volatility index as a good example of compression. And again, we see that same idea here. Markets overbought, very, very, very low volatility, very compressed activity, not a lot of movement. So again, eventually this is going to end. The question is what causes to end, what event occurs that does that? And I don't have the answer for that. Outside of that, as we start talking about the markets, we're starting to see a lot of speculative activity come back in. As we talked about recently, Bitcoin has been kind of one of the indicators, and we've seen a lot of inflow into Bitcoin after the issuance of the Bitcoin ETF. So a lot of speculative activity. The meme coins started doing pre-sales again, and this is something we haven't seen for a while, but this is kind of the height of speculative activity where meme coins are doing pre-sales. They raised $100 million in pre-sales for meme coins. Again, and there's nothing wrong with that other than that's just kind of that speculative activity kind of hitting a peak in the markets. Again, once greed and excitement set into something, then people kind of go, well, I don't really care about the fundamentals. I just don't want to miss out, so I've got to throw money at it. And that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing, IPOs come to markets, Reddit, etc. Questionable issues about the fundamental underpinnings of Reddit. How monetizable is that business actually? Can it support a public structure? Does it matter? There's a big demand by investors to get into new assets. So again, Wall Street's happy to provide those new assets. So we're seeing those type of activities again. That's more normal of a later cycle move in the markets. So again, doesn't mean markets are going to correct or crash tomorrow, but just something to be aware of as you think about your portfolio and how much risk you're taking within it. Again, markets are very bullish right now. There's nothing wrong with the markets, no reason to not be invested. Just be aware that risk is building for a correction in the market at some point. It may be months before we see one. We'll see what happens. That's what you need to know before the bell this morning.